Hey folks, it's Glenn with the Cactus Atlas, and today I'm exploring the majesty of Hoover Dam and its fascinating history. Welcome to Boulder City, Nevada, a town with plenty of art, restaurants, and history. Our story today starts at the historic Boulder Dam Hotel. Back in the 1930s, when Hoover Dam was completed, it was one of the greatest engineering feats of all time and drew the attention of the entire world. So they had to build a hotel to host dignitaries and famous people, and that's how the Boulder Dam Hotel came to be. One of my favorite things to think about too when I visit places like this, old hotels, are the people that stayed here, and some of the names you saw, especially some of those from Hollywood, Bette Davis, Will Rogers, and even Boris Karloff. You can believe that. So cool. It's really interesting to think that probably 100 years ago, with the building of this hotel, Hoover Dam was probably the main reason to come out and visit. Today it's probably Las Vegas, not that far down the road from here. And I'm gonna doubt many folks are gonna have a very immersive Hoover Dam experience like this, but I at least wanted to show you one thing to consider if you're into history like I am and enjoy these types of things. Another secret I can tell you is, compared to a lot of modern chain hotels, this place is a little cheaper actually too. Very affordable, well worth the money. One of the other cool things about this hotel is that there's a museum located in the heart of this building that is a museum about the Hoover Dam and the people that built it. A fantastic museum that we are going to check out. But before we get to that, I do want to explore the inside of the hotel. I'll show you my room really quick and give you a little taste of what you can expect here. All right, let's go seek out my room, room 215. All right, I'm in my room here. Room 215 is indicated by the key. Yes, we have keys here because this is an old hotel. So that's how you know it's the real deal. No cards. But yeah, this is a room. I don't know if this is really typical of a room here. There are plaques outside saying that this room was furnished by a certain individual or group, and you see those on many of the rooms here. So I wonder if each has its own unique design or not, but I like how they chose this one. It's tasteful. All right, so the next thing that I'm really excited about, and one of the primary draws of this place to me, is the museum embedded here inside of this building. Okay, so I'm really super excited to show you this museum. This is inside the Boulder Dam Hotel. It's free, open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., although it was closed before 7 yesterday. So take that with a little bit of a grain of salt. Wait till you see this. Granted, we have not been to the Hoover Dam proper yet, so I've not been in the Visitor Center Museum, but I did a really quick walkthrough of this earlier. Wow, this is really well done. The story really begins here at the Great Depression. This exhibit talks about the stock market crash of 1929, Black Tuesday. Really one of the factors that ends up playing in the construction of Hoover Dam and many large projects of that time. I like exhibits like this that make you think, that really try to put you in the shoes of someone from back then. And there's one of these exhibits here that shows a trunk, and they talk about how very little people that ended up migrating to the dam for work were able to bring with them on these journeys. And they ask you to ponder, what would you do in that situation if you had to choose between 4 and 5 of your key personal items to bring on a trip where you probably won't be coming back home? Now we're gonna start getting into here the actual construction of the dam. And this exhibit here talks about a very well-known foreman, Frank Crowe. And there's a quote here that really gives you a little bit about this guy's personality that makes you kind of laugh. He had a sharp wit, and Will Rogers, the famous actor Will Rogers, once asked Crowe how many men he had working on the dam, and he said about half of them. To which Will Rogers said, I thought I was supposed to be the comedian. After they diverted the Colorado River, they show you how they dug massive tunnels that modern day jets would fit in, and all the concrete that they poured, and the crazy scaffolding, and the danger, the explosion of dynamite everywhere. And this portrayal here really shows you what it would have been like, the peril that you would have faced back then. So I think we're supposed to be on a replica here of something called a monkey slide, which is frightening. If you look up there, that really shows you a portrayal of what these guys did. They got into this wooden deck that would be greased and slide down the hill to transport them. And there's a picture, I think, of said thing. It would have been quite a sight, I think, to be there to witness this, something on this scale. We have very amazing modern feats of architecture, but there's just something about this. Maybe it's the time in which it was set, the context, that makes it all the more amazing to me. We'll see many pictures, both old black and white photos and artist renditions like this that show the dam as it was being constructed, and you can see how they have it sectioned off where they were pouring concrete into different sections, and it's just crazy to think what this actually is in the grand scheme of things. So for those of you that have morbid fascinations with things like that, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but no worker was buried alive in the concrete in the dam. Wow, this is quite the exhibit. This talks about a group of kids that were playing in a forbidden area and ended up enveloping, this little girl got herself stuck in tar up to her shoulders, I think, up to her chest. I don't know, but the funny thought is they have this like box of, like vintage box of matches next to this very flammable tar. That's kind of a morbid sight, but the girl in question, based on the story, was fine. She had to have a bath of gasoline to get some of the tar residue off of her skin. Well, look at this. Here's a picture of the Boulder Dam Hotel from a different era. The same front door we've walked through. Wow, so this museum whetted my appetite for the real thing. Folks, I think it's time to go seek out the real Hoover Dam. Okay, we are on the road heading towards Hoover Dam now. We're leaving Boulder City. Have about a 11-minute drive, it looks like, to get there. So Hoover Dam is very nearby. All right, as we drive out of Boulder City here, you can see Lake Mead starting to show itself, and that's a beautiful view, actually. You really are seeing the lake from up high. However, I can actually already see the light colored areas around the water, showing like how far down the water is dropped out of this gigantic man-made reservoir of water due to drought, overuse of water. But still, it is beautiful to see a big blue body of water like that here in the middle of an otherwise inhospitable desert. I have to admit too, I'm a little nervous as I head over to Hoover Dam because I really don't know what to expect because of crowd levels. Two things. One, believe it or not, even though this is the hottest time of the year, probably the least desirable temperatures of the year, it's considered the busiest season for Hoover Dam because of a lot of the international travelers and vacationers that take summer vacations historically. So usually it's recommended to visit in the winter for that reason. So I don't know what we're gonna find. Secondly, it is a Saturday. Being that I'm a working stiff usually, I just decided to make a weekend trip out of it. So that may add to the crowd levels on top of it. I don't know. We're gonna find out soon. First order is to find parking, I hope. So we'll see how that goes. We have a security check coming up. I don't think I have anything illegal in the car. I have good intentions. I'm here to educate the world about Hoover Dam. Oh, that was easy. Keep to the left, they said. I guess they do inspect more. I mean, if you think about it, this is definitely protected against terrorism and stuff. I was here living in this area shortly after 9/11, when you used to actually drive over the dam to go to Vegas. It was one of the ways in, and they closed it down for different periods of time, and then they bypassed it with a different bridge that we're going to see. But they're still very serious about their security, because imagine if someone tried to blow up this thing or something like that. So that's understandable. Believe it or not, in all this time that I've lived in Arizona and been out west, this is my very first visit to Hoover Dam. I've never been here before, other than to drive over it to get to Las Vegas from Phoenix back in the day when you could do that. Oh, there's the railroad trail. There's a trail where you could actually go to old railroad tunnels on this old railroad grade that serviced Hoover Dam back in the 1930s. Not sure if we're gonna have time for that. But now we're starting to head down, and I think I see where the dam is located. Really what I want to do is just find parking. Oh yeah, the dam's right there. You couldn't even see it. I just got a very brief glimpse. There's the bridge, by the way, the other bridge that we want to go see. The Pat Tillman, I forget the other gentleman's name, but you get a fantastic view of the dam from up there, and you get a fantastic view of this structure from down here. I think it's one of the largest concrete arch dams, or I'm sorry, bridges in the world, this new one here in front of us. Like I said, I'm saving that for later. We're gonna go up on that. All right, we're looking into Black Canyon, the location of Hoover Dam. Our first look from the parking structure of the dam that we just drove over. We're in Nevada, looking over at Arizona on the other side. There it is, folks, our first look at Hoover Dam. What I had in mind today is maybe a tour of the dam, if I can get into one, which I'm pretty confident I will. Tour the visitor center and seek out some amazing views. Learn a little bit about this piece of concrete out here in the desert. All right, not many folks are really coming down into the visitor center for some reason. Seems like most folks like to just go up on the bridge, which is definitely worth doing. Okay, so I'm in. I paid admission, and I was advised to spend some time coming up to an overlook without exiting the building, so I don't have to go back into security. So I got a noon tour. They're starting the 11:30 tour, so they kind of sent me into the theater to watch with the 11:30 people, but got some time to kill. But let's go see the observation overlook just to give you a better look at this thing. Alrighty, I see why this is recommended.
At 230,000
Look at how huge.
The towers that support and direct the wires are leaning into
Oh
the
my
canyon.
God.
These are cantilever towers designed to ensure that the wires do not touch the walls of the canyon.
This is vertigo inducing, I would say.
One on each side of the canyon.
There's your first really good view of the Colorado River probably today. And this is known as Black Canyon. I think the rocks do look pretty dark and almost black at times. So look how they built these structures into the sheer cliff walls. Wow. I don't know if we're gonna get to go down there as part of the dam tour, but that would be damn awesome if we could. Man, that is so high up.
Swung from the top of the canyon walls by a single rope on a bosun's chair, drilling, blasting, and chipping away at the rock.
That looks to be about as close as you can get via boat. You can see they have it like blocked off. Right underneath though, this giant bridge. I tell you what, if you're only gonna spend the $10 to go see the visitor center, assuming this is part of that $10, it's worth it just for this view. Wow. The tour is about to begin, I think. This is my tour group, and we're just waiting to start. It's noon. We were just briefed of what we're gonna do. We're gonna end up basically in the dam, and there's gonna be a vent we can look out. And we're now heading down. We have made it inside the canyon wall. 500 feet down an elevator. This elevator takes you down 500 feet, and we're now walking towards the diversion tunnel. This is crazy. You can see literally they tunneled this out of the canyon.
That pipe is full of water, Lake Mead water, which is in that direction. That water is traveling beneath your shoes right now on its way to the big generators in the power plant as a source of power to turn those heavy turbines to make electricity. And the pipe has a name. It's called a penstock pipe.
That last place we just saw were the diversion tunnels where the water will spill through the pipes to prevent overflow of the dam. So that's what we saw in that first stop. Now we're actually going to head over to the generators, if I heard the guy correctly. Oh my God. Crap.
4 tons. They're monsters. So this rotor is spinning inside that red housing past copper windings. 5 miles of copper windings called stators. That excites the electrons, and very simply, that's what gives us our electricity.
We're about to proceed to the next area of the tour, but this was all about the generators, the things that create the electricity. Kind of hard to hear it echoed in here. The guy was on a mic, but just looking at the machinery and the scale, I think he said that's either 1 or 2 football fields in length.
And the lake is at a historic low. It's only 27% full because of this ongoing drought.
So now we're heading over to the dam proper, my understanding. We're gonna go into the dam, take an elevator ride, split into 2 groups, up into the concrete structure of the dam. Apparently we're gonna be able to look out of some kind of vent down into the dam. I wonder if it's the same thing that Chevy Chase ended up in a precarious situation in the vacation movie in Vegas. Ellen? Apparently we're in the dam, surrounded by 6 million tons of concrete.
As there is in the largest
The
dam.
guy also said that Lake Mead is beyond
This
that
was
wall.
the tallest dam in the world when
Straight
it was
ahead.
finished in 1935. Well, that was 87 years ago.
I think this is walking to right on the edge of the dam where we're going to be able to look out straight on that dam wall. Oh my goodness. We are truly on the edge of the dam. You can't really see very well. You could see right there. Oh my God. So earlier we were way up there. You can't even see because of these slits, but you can see the Colorado River and some of the familiar features of the dam that we've seen already. Oh my God, this is amazing. This is awesome though. Like you can really understand now where you're at inside of the dam.
Austin from?
So we're gonna leave this tunnel and now we're going to climb up to the top of the dam. One interesting thing the guy was talking about is they built these access tunnels to give access to inside of the dam so they could take core samples and study the concrete. Something that I never knew is the concrete in the deepest depths of this is still wet some over 80 years after this was built. So in other words, the concrete hasn't completely cured yet. And another interesting fact is they think the concrete and the structure will last for about 2,000 years. So you can see so far lots of tunnels, lots of walking on the tour. It's relatively comfortable, it's warm in here. It's not air conditioned, but just thinking we're inside of the dam. and knowing the dam faces out this way, I wonder if this curve is indicative of the curvature of the dam. So these are the stairs that you would take to get out of here if there was an earthquake or you couldn't take the elevator. 700 some odd stairs that take you out of here.
So this thing can receive quite a healthy jolt and not be affected. And as the gentleman just asked, what the largest
and down, that is really steep.
that we've ever experienced here.
That is crazy. They did talk a little bit about the deaths in the dam, and I think there were 96 total. We were talking about that earlier. The guy reconfirmed nobody was buried in the concrete. It would have compromise the structure of the dam if that happened. But another interesting thing is the very first death occurred in 1922 by a surveyor of the area. I think his name was Tillman, and he was surveying, fell in the Colorado River and drowned. Interestingly, 13 years later to the day is the last death that happened here at the dam, and it was his son that died. How coincidental and creepy is that? All right, and there's the where the elevator lets you out. So we just took an elevator ride up to the top, and now we're back where we drove across in the beginning on the Nevada side, where you could see Nevada time. It's 1 p.m. We took the 12 p.m. tour. It took an hour, and I would say it was spot on. And although it wasn't the original name of the dam, it was originally the Boulder Dam. It was originally renamed Hoover Dam. And we're gonna look over the edge here. Oh boy. You can really look over the edge. So we started the tour over there in that visitor center. I believe we took an elevator down through the rock when we were in that rock tunnel earlier. My best guess is when we were looking at the generators, it was probably from looking there that way. Then we went into the dam, took an elevator up. At some point we were looking through one of the grates along the wall, and then we ascended to the elevator right here. So that kind of shows you, I think, the route you would go. It's like down to the bottom and then back up into the dam. So I was wondering where it was, but this is the official state line, I think, between Nevada and Arizona. Right here. I've got one foot in either state, I think. Some more amazing views. Every single view is worth seeing. And look at that. You can really get a good look at the dam. With each, you can see this thing curves quickly, so it doesn't take long to get out in front of it. All right, I'm gonna cross over so we can take a look at Lake Mead. We haven't even seen Lake Mead yet, officially, really. We haven't looked this way. Been looking down at the Colorado. Pretty sure I'm on the Arizona side now. Oh my God. All right, we're looking at Arizona time, same as Nevada time right now at this time of the year, but you really don't know how large these towers are until you come take a peer over the side. Holy moly. I also wanted to share an interesting factoid that the tour guide shared with us. You see that really defining layer of really light colored rock? Apparently, I always thought that was how far the water levels dropped over time. I think it is indicative of where the water sat before, but the whiteness is calcium carbonate. Mineralization, basically. Some really cool facts, though, about Lake Mead is it is the largest human-made lake in the United States. It's big enough to cover at least 1 foot of water across the entire state of Pennsylvania. I don't know if in its current form it can, because it is lower because of unprecedented droughts. It's at about 27% of its capacity right now, but still, that's pretty impressive. So the next things that I want to do is I want to get up on top of that bridge and get a view looking back this same direction where I'm standing. I also want to go take a peek at the gift shop and maybe get some cold refreshment. We have a little ways to walk back to get over there to the parking structure. Overall, this is exceeding all of my expectations. The dam tour is well worth the 30 bucks to do, really, just to get a sense of the majesty of this thing and all of the views in any direction and the multiple things you can do, including us getting on top of that bridge. So much to appreciate here. Especially the looking over the dam. All right, I just remembered one other thing I want to see. There's lots to do and see here. I think in this original exhibit building is an original like 3D map they made back in the 1940s of this area. This is quite impressive. There's where we're at right here. We are right there, Hoover Dam, and there's Boulder City where we spent the night. And then there's Death Valley, Mount Whitney, we've been over there before. So I think my game plan is gonna be, let's head back to the car, get some cold water, and then let's go up there to see this other engineering marvel and get great views of the dam. I can tell you now, since I've been here since about 10 in the morning or something like that, 10:30, it's been a good 3 hours since I've been out here, and I saw, I think, virtually everything there is to see. I may have skipped a couple small things, but we walked across the dam, we went into the dam, we saw the museum, we saw the observation deck, and other stuff on top of it. So I did spy a parking lot for this bridge that's right in front of us, actually, heading straight towards it, but we got to get up there. You can see lots of people, or I can see them. You probably cannot. Not sure if the GoPro's picking them up, but I'd say there's as many people up there as there is out on the dam right now. All right, we're at the Mike O'Callahan and Pat Tillman Memorial Bridge, which is the highest concrete arch bridge in the world and the longest bridge of this type in North America. And it's named after 2 war heroes. And you can see, you kind of have to work for it in this heat to get up there all the way. I think our first glimpse of the Hoover Dam is already happening. Look at that. Wow, this is an amazing view up here. One thing you really get a good perspective of up here is how much higher Lake Mead is than the river. You can't even see the river from back here, but you can certainly see the lake. It is pretty noisy though. All these people are on their way to Vegas. A couple interesting facts to note is that it took longer to build this bridge than the entire Hoover Dam, if you can believe that. This was finally completed in 2010, so it's pretty recent. This is by far the best view, I would say, of the Hoover Dam you're gonna get. Way better than anything you can get down there if you want to get the whole thing in frame. And seeing it from up above like this and getting the perspective of the different levels of the water on either side, yeah, you can't get that from over there. Now, I thought I had vertigo when I was standing out on that, looking down. Now look at how high I am. Wow, you could feel the whole bridge vibrate when trucks go over it. It's freaky. When you hold onto this metal bar here, you really feel that vibration. All right, I've been baking in this heat for long enough. I need to find some refreshment, something cool and refreshing, and it's given me idea of one more stop I want to make. I feel like it would be improper to visit Hoover Dam without going to check out Lake Mead up close and personal. That's what I'm trying to find here, is access to Lake Mead. I think I know where it is. Hopefully it's not too crowded. This might be the crowded thing if we're gonna find anything in this warm heat. People recreating on the lake. We will see. Keeping with the Boulder theme, Boulder Dam Hotel, the Boulder Dam, Hoover Dam, and now Boulder Beach. I also read about this historic railroad trail you can take, and there's the parking lot for the trailhead. There's another way to hook up with that elsewhere, I believe, also closer to Hoover Dam. There's more Hoover Dam history if you're into railroads that we don't have time to see today, and it's way too hot to hike out there. Here it is, Lake Mead. A lot of boaters, beachers, in the waters created by the dam. The water's kind of warm and not very cool feeling. The guy at the dam said the water that flows through those pipes, the diversion tunnels, is about 56 degrees year-round, which is cold, cool water. This is not that. You know, if you're looking for a beach for just sitting, enjoying the view, I kind of got mixed feelings about this. I mean, it's not the prettiest looking beach ever, but the scenery, the water and the desert mixed do add some charm. Now, if you're into water sports, you have a jet ski or you're a windsurfer, this seems like this would be a fantastic playground to enjoy. And one thing I love about these desert man-made lakes that we have around down in the Phoenix area, we've got several too, is that, you know, I like lakes with trees and shade, and you don't get a lot of that in the desert, but I love the contrast of a really dry, arid landscape and water. It's just an irony that shouldn't exist to this extent, but it's just a neat thing to look at. All right, folks, I don't think there's a more fitting place to end this video than on the shores of the lake created by the very dam that we explored today, Hoover Dam. I took you on a very immersive adventure of the surrounding area, the history, and I hopefully gave you a couple good ideas of how you might attack the Hoover Dam experience whenever you're out here on the Nevada-Arizona border exploring for yourself. See you next time.